Police obtained a warrant to search Colin Ashsmith's home, and inside they found the knife used to attack the girl under the arches. So Colin Ashsmith was the attacker, but what he'd done next defied belief.
After stabbing her a number of times, quite coolly walked away from the scene. It appears he went home, almost certainly took the knife and hid it indoors, and then shortly afterwards has gone to a local pub and played pool. And to then play pool as if, you know, it's just a regular thing to do after stabbing someone is absolutely amazing. It wasn't until after he came out of the pub and arrived at home that he was arrested.
Colin Ashsmith was now in custody, but the police had found something else at the knifeman's house, a hidden diary taped underneath a drawer that Colin Ashsmith had been keeping since 1988. It contained some of his darkest secrets, dating back to the unsolved attack on a young woman in a remote quarry.
The diary contained details exactly of how he had committed the first attack on this young lady and tried to rape her and left her tied up and used a necktie, to try and strangle her, which broke when he was arrested some 6 years later. The part of the tie that had broken off was in the glove compartment of his car. He'd kept that for 6 years. But when he said in the diary he heard the following morning that the victim had survived, he put words to the effect of, "Damn it, I'll make a better job of it next time."
The diary even boasted of plans to kill in a care home and other murderous schemes he was yet to carry out.
I realised they were dealing with someone, a psychopath who was keeping a record of what he was doing and how he was setting out to kill.
With strong evidence against him, Colin Ashsmith admitted he was guilty of stabbing the woman in the arches and the earlier attack in the quarry in 1988. But what about 16-year-old Claire Tiltman, whose vicious murder was still unsolved?
To be fair, this attack was some 200 to 300 yards away from where Claire had been fatally attacked some 2.5 years earlier. So very quickly the significance of that is apparent, and we were looking possibly at the same person.
It was so close to where it happened with Claire, and so out of the blue, random and so violent, it couldn't have been anyone or anything else, I don't think.
Certainly, Claire's mum and dad were clinging to the hope that this would be a major breakthrough in the investigation. But frustratingly, very frustratingly, there was no mention of the attack on Claire. There was nothing in the diary about her.
Could it be that Colin Ashsmith, who had so meticulously kept details of his previous violent crimes, had missed a chance to document his one successful murder? Was Claire Tiltman's killer still on the loose? Could there really be two murderers in Dartford? % of murder victims know their killer. So in 1993, the murder of Claire Tiltman shocked the tight-knit town of Dartford to its core. It seemed that Claire had been the victim of the dreaded stranger attack. But 2 years later, Dartford detectives had turned their attention to another stabbing. This time under some archers yards away from where Claire was killed. The victim survived, and local milkman Colin Ashsmith was arrested. Police found a diary confessing to the attack and other crimes, and Ash Smith was given 3 life sentences. But crucially, there was nothing connecting him to Claire's murder. There was no mention of it in the diary, and Ash Smith was giving nothing away.
I mean, the fact is that he would never, and he did never, admit to anything to do with Claire's murder, either to the officers or to myself. That was extremely galling, to think that this man, who almost certainly in our minds had killed Claire, was not convicted of that offence.
The police case was built on the fact that Ash Smith had committed similar offences. Back in 1993, Claire's parents had a strong feeling that the killer had been at her funeral.
They'd been scanning the faces of the people there, wondering which of their friends was the person who murdered their child.
Unbelievably, the police were now realising that Ash Smith had been amongst the mourners that day.
He was there. He was in the congregation at the funeral, just a few metres away from me and a few metres away from Claire's mum and dad.
The fact is that Colin Ash Smith did in fact know Claire Tiltman, because they used to frequent in the British Legion Club.
The Royal British Legion Club is kind of a bit like a village pub, if you like it, or the kind of hub of the community. The Tiltman family came here a great deal, and so did the Ash Smith family. Shortly before she was murdered, Claire came here with her mum and dad to celebrate her 16th birthday. And one of the people who sang happy birthday to her was Colin Ash Smith.
His mother, Diane, was his alibi. She said he couldn't possibly have done it because he was with her visiting a constituent nearby to the scene. Colin Ash Smith's parents were local town councillors. His mother, Diane Ash Smith, was indeed the local town mayor, and Aubrey, her husband, his father, was a town councillor, both actively involved in local issues in the area.
Now, as alibis go, one from the town mayor sounded pretty robust. But when the police looked into it, all wasn't as it seemed. Colin's alibi was false.
His father, and indeed his mother, apparently knew he used to carry a knife around with him. And shortly after the murder of Claire, Aubrey decides to take the knife that Colin carries around with him away and get rid of it. I'm afraid it's like a lot of cases, you know, what people may look like on the outside when they close their front door, you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
So detectives were convinced that Colin Ash Smith was the killer that they'd been hunting. But despite his father disposing of a knife and Ash Smith's other convictions, they didn't have anything to prove he was guilty.
Cliff and Lynn knew who the prime suspect was. They were absolutely certain they knew who it was.
It had such sad long-term effects on their lives. They didn't want to scatter Claire's ashes until a conviction had been made for the murder.
When I went back subsequently to interview them on a number of occasions, you could see that they seemed to be aging visibly, and they both became ill.
The one thing Cliff always said, and I saw him a few months before he died, he said, "I am completely and utterly convinced that you will find and convict the person responsible for killing Claire."
Dartford never gave up hope that the killer of Claire Tiltman would one day be brought to justice. Her friends kept campaigning and police kept appealing. But it would be 2 decades after the crime that Colin Ash Smith would slip up and give the police the clues that they needed.
Colin Ash Smith was, of course, doing a life sentence, and during the course of his incarceration had been talking to a fellow inmate about facts connected with Claire's murder that wouldn't have been known by anybody else. And as a result of some very proactive work by my colleagues and the CPS, they decided that they would charge and prosecute Colin Ash Smith for the murder of Claire. Colin Ash Smith gave evidence in his own trial. He freely admitted he used to carry weapons around with him. He was a man who quite clearly had a problem with women. He had quite clearly had a problem explaining to the court this attack plan, this journal, this diary that he had. And in all honesty, I thought the prosecutor did a wonderful job in showing what sort of individual and psychopath he was.
It was a huge, massive relief of a lot of years of all sorts of emotions. I don't think there was a dry eye, actually, in that whole section of the courtroom.
The community still is haunted by what happened. After all this time, you still meet people in the street who remember clearly what happened and will say, we don't want him to ever come out of prison. We don't want him ever back in our community.
To know that someone's gone out of their way to inflict not just harm to Claire, but to her family and friends, and to destroy more than one life just like that for no reason whatsoever. It's, yeah, quite sickening.
The day that Colin Ash Smith put the knife into Claire Tiltman is as good as put the knife into her mum and dad.
For 21 years, this crime cast a shadow over the town of Dartford. But the people here, they never gave up. This is a town that strives to be defined by the memories of its victims, as opposed to the murderer that lived in their midst.
Do you feel it?